and rain.
I just finished reading Mike McKinney's book. I can highly recommend it. It was good.
Nice.
Hey,
I am going to his birthday party this week, so I will let him know
okay.
that you read and enjoyed his book. He'll be happy to hear that.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Good to see you all.
Morning, Michael.
Morning.
Everybody. Hey, John, Robbie, Charlene.
Hey.
So I want to start today by asking you a question I'd really like for you to think about. And maybe a couple of questions to have you really think about. And as a starting point for us today to see where we all are. If I said to you on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being extreme, the most you can be, 1 being the least you can be, how much stress are you experiencing right now in this moment, and then lately in general? So right now we're sitting here having meeting Mondays, hanging out. You may feel no stress, or you may have an important meeting after this one and you may be all kind of stressed. So that's one aspect, but the other is just in general, lately. And how lately, however you want to define that, you can go back a year, you can go back a few months, whatever period of time you choose. But from a scale from 1 to 10, between 1 and 10, how stressed are you in general? Really think about that for a moment, if you will. We hear a lot of talk about stress, worry, anxiety, about people saying that, the world is just moving too fast, that there's so much chaos and confusion and destruction and violence and unrest. And there are constant threats. There are threats to our safety. There are threats to our democracy. There are threats to our environment. There are threats to our freedoms. There are threats to our way of life. There are threats to our on and on and on and on. You can fill in the blanks of what those threats are. And statistically, it is shown that there are people living with a lot of stress, both in intensity and quantity. The quality and the quantity of stress seems to be, in many ways, overwhelming. And we have a high segment of the population that is actually experiencing anxiety or stress in ways that are considered to be disorders, or in ways that are considered to be ongoing and debilitating. Now, I hope that's not the case for any of us, but it may very well be, or anyone who hears this. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about this today. And I want to mention that when I think about, for all the years of teaching, speaking, leading a group like this that I've done, I have endeavored to not just talk about things that I'm interested in, not just talk about things that affect me, but try to see what what are others dealing with that maybe I'm not? And I don't live with a high level of stress, and I don't live with a high level of anxiety. I'm not to say I don't have any stress or anxiety, because that is not true, but it's not like this big ongoing issue or problem for me. But I know it is for a vast segment of the population. No matter where you live, no matter what part of the world you go to, people are stressed. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. So, have you had time to think about, would anyone like to share what your level of stress is between 1 and 10 in the last year, in the last 6 months, in the last month? What would you say, if you don't have to share, but if you would like to?
I don't mind sharing it all, because this is a topic that my husband and I just discussed last week. And I have lived pretty much a stress-free life my entire life until recently. And now I am so stressed. I called my sister, who is my counselor, my spiritual guru, you might say, and to talk to her about it. And my husband says it is self-inflicted stress, and he's right. But I'm going to have surgery in the fall for my back, and I'm trying to accomplish 1,000 things before that time. And we're also going to Alaska in a few weeks. So we have that on our plate. So I have all of these things that I want to achieve before I have to have rehab and can do nothing. I'll still be with you, though. I'll be with you guys, but I won't be able to go upstairs to my studio. So I'm trying to accomplish a lot. And as a result, I'm making a lot of mistakes, and I'm having to redo a lot of things. And some days I just want to cry. And, and my husband says I need to slow down and just stop. And he's telling me right now, stop. But I do. And I'm also turned 75 this year. So I realize the time is getting shorter. Yeah, that's great, John. The time is getting shorter. So if you want to accomplish some things, the time to do it is right now. So I'm putting a lot on myself. So that's my story.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Would you mind saying, like, on a scale from 1 to 10, what your number you think would be given all that?
Right now, I mean, it's 10 plus. It's I'm really, every day is like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. What should I do first?
Okay.
It's a lot.
Okay, great. I want to talk about that, but let's hear some others first. If anybody else want to share?
I just called the sheriff this morning. Somebody put up a huge sign that says moving sale along the road, and it's pointing to the end of my property. I don't know whether it's a joke or not, but I'm not stressed whatsoever about it.
Usually a call to the sheriff's department involves stress. Usually stress is related, but you're saying you don't have any related to that?
No, I just wanted to know what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
Must be a joke. I don't know.
Hopefully they just put it in the wrong spot. There's a business, there's a thrift shop in my small town that has undergone a lot of changes in management and a lot of issues, and they're open very infrequently and randomly. And they have a big sign on the door that says, "We are not going out of business." So you can go put a sign up that says, "I am not moving, and nothing is for sale."
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Michael, I think in my current situation, my stress level is probably 1 or below. I can't imagine being, I can imagine having nicer neighbors, but I think I'd be more involved, and then I'd be probably caught up in more, trauma and stuff. But right now in this place, I feel like it's a 1. The last couple of months, though, I've been dealing with a huge change in the volunteer work that I'm doing. And leading up to that change, there was a high amount of stress. But in terms of 1 to 10, I think I'm a wimp. I think 5 would probably put me on the verge of suicide, right? So maybe a 4 or a 5, I don't know. And then since that change has happened, it's gone all the way back down to 2. So I'm a lightweight when it comes to stress. My father, I was worried that stress was going to kill him, and it almost did. He finally died of a heart attack, but I think it was because his heart was weakened by the stress that he had in the middle of his life. So I've been very averse to stress. I've been trying to find all the tools I can find to keep myself safe from it.
That's great. Great. Anyone else want to share? So I want to begin by talking about stress itself, and then I want to get into some of the things you guys shared and talk about some strategies for stress. But I think the important thing to remember, or one of the many important things to remember, is that stress is not necessarily a negative thing. I think we often only speak of it in negative terms, but stress can be beneficial and helpful. That's what it's supposed to do. It's a normal human reaction that we all experience that is designed to help us deal with a challenging experience, some sort of change, a deadline. John mentioned change, a change in the volunteer situation. Ellen mentioned the time factor. I'm running out of time. And let me tell you something. You do not have to be 75 to feel that way. And that's something I've lived with, because none of us know when our last day is going to be. And if we have a long life, and if we define that by living longer than, the average, that's still very short. And I don't know anyone who said they wouldn't want more time. And we all so often talk about saving time, and time's the one thing you can't save. It's impossible to save time. We can't bank it up. It'd be nice if we could, like our sick leave, and we get to the end of our life and say, wait, I have years saved up. I want to spend it now. But when we have a deadline, when we have a change, there are responses within us to help us deal with it. Responses that cause our bodies, our minds to react in certain ways, to be more alert, to have increased. You think about if you get nervous or you get anxious or you get stressed, a lot of times you start sweating. A lot of people do. That's your body's way of being able to cool down. That is an actual good thing to happen. Your heart rate increases. Again, gives your body, you're getting more oxygen, you got more going, you have a quicker response time. All of these things, your breathing, which of course is sort of related to the heart rate, even your vision, being able to you probably are going to pick up on more things peripherally and just in general. All of these changes, and are good and can be good and positive and related to our fight or flight instincts. And so if we have a change coming, if we have a deadline, we want to be able to respond and want to be able to address it and at our best. And so our bodies and our minds say, okay, here's some extra. I'm going to give you some extra things to use. Extra heart rate, extra breathing, extra sweating, extra mental and physical alertness and acuity. And that's all good and fine and great in a short period of time when we're dealing with something intensely, and then we can back off from that and go back to more of a normal state. The problem becomes when this state is either prolonged. Two things can happen. It can be too intense, so the intensity is too much, or the length is too much. And it can actually, long-term stress can become chronic and can become, and I think it has for many people around us, a way of life. And so instead of there being this baseline of calm, and occasionally you have spikes of stress to deal with stuff, it actually, you're just living in an anxious state, in a stressful state. Now, some people do that because of childhood trauma. They have never really known anything except stress, have never even known anything besides anxiety. They weren't sure about, they never felt safe. Maybe they had parents who were addicts. Maybe they had parents who fought all the time. Maybe they had parents who were absentee and not around and didn't take care of them. Maybe they were anxious about their next meal, or if the rent was going to be paid. And maybe they were physically, sexually, mentally, verbally abused in some ways. That creates a level of stress that, if not addressed, can follow them throughout their whole lives and be a way of living. That obviously is dangerous and harmful. And the problem, I mentioned all these physical, physiological, emotional, mental changes that happen in us when we get stressed. And again, in the short term, they're helpful, they're beneficial. In the long term, they're going to break us down. They'll break our bodies down, they'll break our minds down. They'll cause things like, just here are just a few symptoms: aches and pains, like tightness, chest pains, that sick, queasy feeling in the stomach. And I'm going to tell you, our bodies can tell us a lot about what's going on with us. And you can learn that, hey, if I have that queasy feeling in my gut, I should listen. There's something up. I should investigate it. If I have that tight feeling or pressure in my chest, I should listen to it. I should see what's going on. Cause exhaustion, trouble sleeping, high blood pressure, headaches, dizziness, tension. I mean, the tightness of the jaw, oh my God, the tension in your shoulders because you're so worked up. Issues with digestion, a weakened immune system, which means we'll catch, whatever cold, flu, sickness is going around, we're more likely to catch it. It can cause depression, panic attacks, anxiety, or irritability. All of these things can really decrease our quality of life. So stress is not meant to be for the long term. It is meant to be for the short term. And so to keep it from turning into a long-term thing, we need a strategy to deal with it. And I want us to get into some strategies to help us deal with stress. But I want to go back to some of the characteristics, some of the symptoms I was just mentioning, and think about this. You are stressed and you have these physical, mental, emotional symptoms. And guess what every one of them do? Make it worse. And then you're not sleeping as well, not sleeping as long, you're not getting as much rest. When you do sleep, what does that do? That breaks you down even farther. That makes it even more difficult to cope, to deal with these things. Our bodies, our minds cannot keep this. It's like sprinting. Nobody sprints on a long distance in a marathon, on a long distance race. Life, whatever the length is a marathon. It is not a sprint. But there will be times in life where we do have to sprint for a few moments. Sometimes for actual survival, sometimes to accomplish something. Hey, my deadline just got moved up. I'm going on a trip. I'm going in the hospital. I'm I'm having surgery. My job is changing. My whatever. Oh, my company that I thought was coming Saturday, they're coming Wednesday. Well, it could be, it doesn't matter what it is, but suddenly a deadline has moved up and we need to respond. There are healthy ways to deal with it, and there are unhealthy ways to deal with stress. There are things that work better than others. Obviously, drugs, alcohol, obsessive kind of behaviors, compulsivity, which that's like overeating, over shopping, over busy, over sex, over religious, over whatever, is they're very unhealthy, and they can be distracting, and they feel like they're solving the problem, and they only make things worse. But there are healthy things we can do, and I want to suggest some to you, but I want to say that there are things we can do that are in the same way that stress is a response to something that's happening right now, and I need to deal with it. We can approach our problem solving to stress, our strategies for dealing with stress in the same way, by which I mean only deal with it when it happens. Like, oh, I'm stressed, so I'm going to do something about it. Or, and this is the far better approach, we can have a daily, ongoing strategy, exercise, and this is the most important word, and I've used this so much in all our discussions, a practice that is ongoing that helps us avoid getting stressed or helps us better deal with stress when we experience it. There are people whose spiritual lives, however you define that, define it in its broadest terms, only really exist when they're in crisis. Something bad has happened and they turn to some sort of spiritual fix. That is very different than a spiritual practice that is a daily quiet time, meditation, prayer, reading, studying, service, you name it. All the spiritual practices. It's far better to have a daily practice than it is when something bad happens. I'm going to freak out and I'm going to cram all these things in and try to do it all. So I'm reading my Quran or my Bible. I'm praying, I'm studying, I'm meditating, I'm going to synagogue, I'm going to mass, I'm listening to every book or tape or teaching I can. How much better would it be if we had an ongoing practice? So addressing our stress is the same way. Number one, I would say we need relaxation activities in our lives. We live in a Western culture that has a certain work ethic that praises and extols the virtues of busyness, of getting more and more and more and more done. Efficiency, busyness, productivity. Now, I look around and I see unmotivated, lazy, lost people, and I see they have very sad lives. They're not producing anything. They're not creating. They're not feeling like they're of a benefit to society, to their families, to others, because they're not doing anything. That's one extreme. Other extreme, though, is to constantly be doing things. I want to be more productive. I want to do more. I want to accomplish more, and not having built into that a healthy lifestyle that includes relaxation. Now, at various times in my life, I definitely have erred on the side of trying to get too much done, of wanting to fit too much in. But at my best lifestyle, it includes relaxation. Now, there are practices like meditation, breathing. If you're stressed, just breathing, doing a breathing exercise is going to help you. It's going to lower all the stress levels and help you deal better. Exercise. If we feel stressed, it doesn't have to be strenuous. Take a walk. The moment you're feeling really anxious, really stressed, just put everything on pause for a minute, go for a walk, do a breathing exercise, do a guided meditation or meditate, read, do something that's relaxing. Now, as you know, I have the honor, the privilege of helping care for this amazing little 5-year-old named Autumn. And I have done that her whole life, her entire life. And one of the things, Autumn's out of school this summer, and we spend time together almost every day. And one of the things we do, because she loves it, is go to my sister's swimming pool, which is at our farm, which is a beautiful place. And her swimming has improved this summer. She's so comfortable. She's swimming. I really think she's swimming better than any 5-year-old I've ever seen, or that I can remember seeing, going back to my 3 kids and all their friends. And she's doing great. But taking her swimming almost daily around the rainfall and storms causes me to relax, because my sister has this round, large float that looks like a donut, a strawberry frosted donut with sprinkles and a bite out of it. And often I will sit on that and float while she's doing her thing. But even if I'm playing with her and throwing her and, playing chase and Marco Polo and those kind of things, it's still relaxing. But this is an aspect of relaxation that I would not be doing without her. I wouldn't be going down to that pool. Not one time this summer would I have gone to that swimming pool except for her. She's providing me that opportunity to relax, and it is extremely beneficial. Now, in my sanctuary here, there's almost always incense burning and candles burning and soft, either a meditative kind of music playing. Most of the time it's instrumental. Sometimes it's Gregorian chant. I create an atmosphere that encourages breathing, that encourages relaxation, that encourages these things. So I have my practices, but I'm saying she's provided another level of practice. Another practice I have is my several times a week playing basketball, meeting with the guys, whether it's on my league team or just my friends that play pickup here, and going and running up and down a basketball court for an hour and a half of an evening. Stress just vanishes. And whatever I was thinking about, whatever I was worried about, whatever I was stressing about, whatever I was on my to-do list, I go into the gym, I'll be thinking about those things. And maybe even at the start of warming up and all, I'll still be thinking about them. But once I'm starting to play and all, they vanish. And when I finish, even if I begin to think about them again, go back to that to-do list, go back to, this deadline or that, I feel so much better and am able to deal with it because of that. So I really encourage you to have a daily routine that involves relaxation. And I'm gonna tell you a secret. This is a secret. I'm sure it's an open secret, so you already know it, but I'm going to remind you. No matter what your deadline is, no matter how important what you're working on is, no matter how little time you think you have, if you will incorporate what I'm talking about into your life, into your day, into your busy day that you said, I don't have enough time to do everything I need to anyway, I can't add anything. It's addition by subtraction, because if you will take some time to pray, to relax, to meditate, to breathe, to walk, to sing, to dance, whatever it is, to take a nap, when you go back to what you were doing, you'll do it better. You'll do it more effectively. You'll make less mistakes. You'll be in a better frame of mind and body to do what you need to do. And it's counterintuitive because you say, I can't take any time away. That's the last thing I need to do. But it's the most beneficial thing you can do. When I was a younger man, in a similar way to I do now, but I slept as little as possible. I wanted to get enough sleep to feel good, where I could be productive and do my thing, but I didn't want any more than I needed. And I had this, I probably was not getting quite enough, and so I had this late afternoon sort of dip in energy and alertness and all the things. As I grew and evolved, I learned that on those days when I didn't get enough sleep the night before, a small power nap is extremely beneficial. I'm never able to sleep more than about 20 minutes, but that 20 minutes changes the rest of the afternoon and evening for me and what I need to accomplish and just how I feel when trying to accomplish it, when living and doing. So we need to take good care of our minds. That's what I've been talking about with these breathing, with meditating, with, relaxation, music, all those things. Good care of our bodies. That means we need some exercise, need some activity. We need to eat well, huge factor in how we feel. And we need good sleep. And each one of us is different. And so you may require less sleep or more sleep than me. All of this comes down to you figuring out what works for you. I know that, man, if I get 7 hours, I feel amazing. I guess I should say 7 good hours, but I don't need a nap. If I get 6, I'm okay. And if I get a 10 or 20 minute nap sometime during the day, I'm great again. But I know, and I'm married to someone who needs more than that, who 6 or 7 would not be enough. She's got to know that about herself. I've got to know what works for me. You've got to know what works for you. Practicing gratitude, staying positive, letting go, accepting what you can control and letting go of what you can't. We can't control deadlines sometimes, but sometimes we can. And we often are setting up our to-do list, our expectations of ourselves. We're putting pressure on ourselves that doesn't need to be there. We have a desire to finish by a certain time or to do a certain amount of things that if we would just let that go and say, you know what, I'm going to do my practice, I'm going to do my best work, and I'm going to let the results go. Whatever I wind up finishing, and I do that. I will set a deadline and say, I want to get X amount of words written today or this week or this month. If I will let that go and just do my best, I'll write just as much or more, and I'll be in a much better mental, emotional, physical state while doing it. Learning to say, and I want every one of you to say this, repeat after me, okay? Say it. No. Practice.
No.
Say no. Learning to say no when we need to is going to decrease stress, pressure, anxiety, like few things can. So let go and say no.
Michael, I learned a long time ago that I could say no, but thank you so much for asking me. I really appreciate that.
Right. Yeah.
Say it with a smile.
I have a hard time saying no. And so I have, even to a direct question, like a friend of mine will text me and say, have you heard or have you seen so-and-so? I can't just text back the word no. So I'll say, I haven't yet, or something like that. It's still saying the same thing. You're still saying, no, I'm not able to make it, or I can't do it like you're saying, but I wish I could, but thank you for the invitation. All these practices, and we can get into a lot more. We're just running out of time. And so probably pick this up next week because I really wanted to get into anxiety and the difference between stress and anxiety. And so we'll continue this next week, but I have just a few minutes left. Does anybody want to say anything, respond, add to anything that I've shared?
Yeah, I told my husband that if anything happens to me and I go on to Jesus, that with the next Michael Lister meeting, he needs to go on and say that I'm not coming back. But he did say he's everything that I do. I make my own schedule, and I need to be a little bit easier and nicer to myself, and not put so much, not feel like I need to do everything just because I say it. I don't
Right.
need to do it.
That's right.
And he's absolutely right. But I do have a few weeks left to do some certain projects, because after that I won't be able to do them for a while.
Right.
So I'm trying to do that, and it may or may not come to fruition. But I'm still working on Wales, and that's a baby gift. And that baby will not wait indefinitely. So I have to finish that. But this is a great topic. I appreciate it. I need to rein myself in.
Michael, I had a boss who had a practice of saying, not no, but hell no. And I never thought of that as a way of self-care. You know, I always thought, oh, he's just being negative. But I guess he was taking care of himself.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that. I was just about to mention bosses, and just to know, like with what you're saying, Ellen, that you are your own boss. You are your own
Yeah.
manager. And our best bosses look out for us. They won't let us work ourselves to death. They won't, I remember that my mom and wife had the same boss for a while, and principal in a school. And anytime they asked for time off, he'd say, of course, absolutely. It's your time. That time sitting there is yours. You do whatever you want to with it, whenever you want to. He could have said, yeah, you could take it off, but he was so positive, encouraging. And if we can,